Welcome to the MS&Me Radio Network. The broadcast shows are for informational and entertainment purposes only. They are not designed to provide listeners with specific personal, medical, or counseling advice. Individuals with a medical issue should always consult their healthcare provider. MS&Me is not responsible for content of individual shows. The views expressed by show hosts or the guests are their own. Enjoy the show.
Hey y'all, and welcome to Straight Up with MS and all its crazy little circles here on MS&Me Radio, brought to you by the MS Global Support Network. I'm your host. I'm Patty Long, and you can find me on Twitter at MSinit for Life, and I spell that MSENIT, the number 4, LIFE. And while you're on Twitter, search for hashtag ChatMS, all one word, ChatMS, because there's lots of great chat information in there, and if you click on the latest, you can find the latest stuff and scroll down and see questions and answers, and maybe even find an answer for an issue that you are facing. So I highly recommend ChatMS, even though I have missed it quite a lot recently. And you know, honestly, I hate missing it. It's one of the highlights of my week every week. But here lately, on Monday nights, I have been preoccupied, I guess you could say, with other things, or not even known they existed, because I've had some missing time. And having time that is just blank, that I have no clue what happened to, is one of those cognitive things that people cannot see, and that people generally refuse to believe in, and because it's just so hard to explain. I made it to pool last week for the first time, and since I had that seizure-like thing happen. And everybody was, I'd been getting messages, asking how I was doing and all of this. And everybody was fantastic and knew that I was still off, They knew I still wasn't all together. And they could tell that by talking to me, by seeing how long it took me to respond to a question or to speak, or how much difficulty I was having speaking at all, because I was still stuttering some. I'm still stuttering every now and then, but just every now and then. And Hachi, stop that. Yes, my dog is out here with me, because he's always with me if I'm at home. But in any case, where was I? Yeah, cognitive issues. That's right. I have a few of those. I don't know if y'all can tell or not, but I have quite a few of those. And so last week I was at pool, and everybody was fantastic. They were telling me how glad they were to see me, and how glad they were I felt better enough to come, and, helping me in every way possible. Kept asking me all night long if I was okay, if I was sure I was okay. The music was turned down a bit. It was not really loud, although I hadn't said anything to anybody about the music playing loud. But I think that let me back up a little bit. When I went for the EEG, they put these electrodes on my head. Okay, and it was to measure my brainwave activity, and at the last part of it, they put a flashing light on. Now, I had my eyes closed, but they said that would not matter, that my eyes were closed at all. So, this light was flashing in my face, like a strobe light, and I didn't see it. I had my eyes closed and all that stuff, and it wasn't that bright. So I really didn't recognize that there was any light flashing. But I don't think that my event that I had was triggered by a light. And I asked the girl that was running this test, I asked her about if sound could be the trigger, because the beat of a song was going through my body. And it kept going through my body long after the event stopped. And I could still feel this beat, this, and it went perfectly with some song that was on. And the jukebox that night had been turned way up, and so it was blasting. And I was sitting not next to the speaker, but fairly close to the jukebox speakers. And so I think that it was triggered by this music. Now, they said these things aren't triggered by sound. Well, they're wrong. I did my research after the fact, just in the past couple of days, because it's just been in the past couple of days or so that I've had enough brains to do that. And I did manage, finally, to get a copy of the report, even though my doc's office still doesn't have it. And I still don't have the pictures. I have to go somewhere else to get those. So I still have some legwork to do. But my EEG report said that there was no sign of epilepsy. So I don't know. Can you have seizures that aren't epileptic? I don't know. But I do know that MS has seizures listed as one of the lesser common types of symptoms. And I call these issues because they're only a problem if you don't figure them out. So whether we call this a seizure or a seizure-like event, I don't care. I'm calling it a seizure-like event right now because there's no proof either way. And I think I was 2 days late on getting that EEG for it to still show up. Because, it was 8 days after the event. And on the 6th day, I was still really, really struggling with everything, and my right eye was still burning. It's still very sore feeling and all that, but it's not burning nerve pain that I was having in that eye. So that part of it's better, although I'm still getting really bad headaches in the area where they took the tumor out. So I got to find the rest of the report or the rest of the pictures, because the report was talking about, my blink response. Well, my eyes were closed. Who blinks when their eyes are closed? And I tightly close my eyes because they don't close all the way if I don't. So they were pretty tightly closed, and so I don't understand the blink response thing. That didn't make sense. So anyways, the rest of it said that my waves were kind of slow. This was to be expected. And for whatever reason, in South Carolina, where we're 20-something years behind in anything medical related, especially MS, and evidently, especially in seizures, because I've known quite a few people who had seizures, really bad seizures, and they had to move away so they could get the care they needed. And just saying, we're way behind the times in South Carolina in so many respects. But it's, it's not uncommon, according to what I found on the internet. It is not uncommon, and these were like Duke University kind of websites. They were all places that were legitimate websites, not Wikipedia or something where anybody can add whatever. But there is an increasing sort of thing about sound and how sound can trigger these kinds of things. And I think that's what triggered mine, was the sound of this certain beat, this certain tonal range, this certain whatever. But I think it really had to do with music. So I have told everybody at Mirror's Nightlife, and told Susan and told Billy, who own the bar, and have told my friends, which Susan and Billy are my friends too. They are there. They shoot pool with me and talk to me and hang out with me, and just like everybody else up there. So I told everybody that if it happens again, don't even wait on me to be able to speak. Just call 911. Make sure they get there, because they don't know where in the heck Mirrors is. So maybe, somebody who's calmer needs to call them. And, they've seen this twice now. So my plan is to see if we can trigger it up there and let them call 911, and then I can get the EEG done right away when they can see that, what's going on based on these brain waves. And I've also been doing some research on other ways they can tell if you've got seizure activity. And apparently there are ways on MRIs and possibly CAT scans, I wasn't sure how that played into it, where it shows the damage from these types of events. So I will be talking with Dr. English about that when I go back, but I got, months to wait because I don't go to see him again until January. Last time I went in July, he thought I was doing great, so he released me for a whole 6 months, and now here I am. But that's kind of the name of the game, because you never know how you're doing. And if I hadn't had this seizure-like event, I'd still be doing great, and things would have been different. Excuse me, I still have a little bit of this cough. Just a little bit. Let me get a drink. Okay. So, I don't know that this event was caused by MS or caused by the tumor surgery, because I've had some problems with the surgery or the post-surgery that was unexpected for me to have, that I didn't leave the hospital with, but then had several weeks after my next appointment, or maybe not several weeks, but the week after my appointment with that doctor who did the surgery. So there's no telling which it's from, but it doesn't really matter. Finding the trigger is what matters, and finding the triggers for any of our issues is what matters. And so we hear all the time, pay attention to your body, pay attention to your body, pay attention to your body. This should be a little chant, pay attention to your body. But it's crazy, but it's true. You have to really pay attention to what your body's telling you, what your brain is telling you, in terms of your abilities and how they're changing and how they change throughout the day, so that you can make adjustments and then you will feel better. Everything has a trigger. So if I'm holding my phone, let's say it's nighttime and I'm laying on the bed, and There goes my phone now. It's 2:30, y'all. So I'm laying on my bed. It's at night. And I want to go to sleep. And I wanted to check my text message or my messenger messages or something like that. And I pick up my phone and hold it. Now it's late it's late in the evening. It's probably, not really that late. If I'm not out shooting pool, I'm probably laying down by 8:30, and that doesn't mean I go to sleep then, but I'm probably laying down by then. And so I pick up my phone to check it, and I don't know if it has to do with laying down or just holding my phone up, but holding my phone like that so that I can see it and push the little buttons and stuff on it. It's very painful. It becomes very painful to my hands. It's really hard to hold the phone up. My arms collapse. So, the solution is to not try and hold my phone that way late at night, right? And that's a pretty good solution to keep the problem from happening, and then my hands don't hurt. And then the next morning I'm not having trouble with my hands because I've done something that has inflamed those nerves. So we want to stop the inflammation. We don't want to cause inflammation. And I'm not saying don't do anything that hurts, because you kind of have to push yourself. But you also have to know when to stop. So I'll hold my phone up and I'll check, and I'll feel it starting to act up, and my arm will start dropping, and I'll know when it's time, because I've learned how long I've got. Other things like leaning on my elbows that instantly put my hands to sleep. Well, actually more than my hands. It puts my whole arm to sleep, all the way up to my shoulder if I'm leaning on my elbows. So these are things that I have learned are triggers for these other events, so I've stopped doing them. Let's see, some other triggers. Everybody knows about, hot and cold being triggers. If they listen to my show, they definitely know the heat and the cold both can be triggers. And I have technology, which has advanced as much as medicine has. And I'm very thankful that technology has advanced the way it is. But my watch is a good indicator of my body temperature changing, because whenever your body temperature starts going up or going down at a faster rate than it should, your heart rate will go up and up and up. And I did not know this prior to having my watch, that this was your heart's reaction to your body temperature changing. So both will cause your heart rate to elevate. So I can easily put the heart monitor on and turn it on my watch, just by putting it to walking or to being on a treadmill, which is usually what I do, because then it's not trying to do all the extra stuff that it would do for going for a long walk or a long run or something like that I'm not doing. It's just easier to put it on for the treadmill, and then I get the alert when my heart rate changes like that. So that tells me, okay, you're getting cold, you need to go in and do something about that now that it's getting towards wintertime, or that you're getting too hot, so you need to do something about that. And it's been a big help. So we know heat and cold are triggers, and both of those will affect my ability to think. I don't think well when any of this kind of stuff happens. So then there's, that's a big trigger and a big way for me to know that this is happening. And I don't know if you guys can hear it, but they're still working on that property next to me, and I really need to get down there eventually and check out what they're doing, because they've damaged my property. They went all over the property lines, tearing down stuff. So and pushed a bunch of stuff into my land. But anyways, getting back to these triggers, some more of my triggers for things have been stress. And we've talked about stress a lot and how to get rid of it or how to live with it. Because, it's really hard to completely rid yourself of all stressors. My husband is a major stressor in my life, but I can't really get rid of him at the moment. It's just not that simple. So, I don't know. Getting rid of people out of your life does make it less stressful. But I'm not a monk, and I don't want to be a monk. That's Christabeth's job. He's the monk. I love Christabeth. I miss talking with him online. And his name is actually a tribute to his wife, whose name is Beth. And his music was from Chris to Beth. So this was his form of expression, was his music that he writes, and he's really good. Check him out. He's on Twitter at Christabeth. And it's getting very distracting out here, y'all. But triggers is what you're paying attention for. You want to pay attention to your body's triggers. Know when you're getting tired before you're too tired so that you can take that break. Know and pay attention to what you just did prior to having something happen. Because if you know what you did that caused it, then you can correct for it. I knew what was causing my dizziness. I had several different kinds of dizziness. Vertigo from getting up too fast was one of them. And I think a lot of us have experienced vertigo. You get up really fast and the whole room spins. Or maybe you just move fast and the whole room spins. Maybe your moving fast isn't really all that fast, but the whole room spins. That's your vertigo. And then I have the crisscrossy spinning visions from my eyes and not getting the picture that I see out of my right eye to line up right with what I see out of my left eye. And my brain keeps circling those pictures around to try and line them up, but they won't line up. So I have found that covering one eye stops that. And that's because I found out that was a dizziness, a type of dizziness that was caused by my vision. And that spot is actually in the back of your head that causes that, not in your eyes themselves. So, again, I knew what the trigger, I didn't know what the trigger was, but I knew what was causing the effect of the dizziness. I knew it was my sight. So, patching one eye stops that kind of dizziness. And then there's the other kind of dizziness, which is just a whoa feeling, like, and like things are shaky and moving, and you're shaky and out of balance. And I've had to deal with that one as well. And I have found that for that one, doing the neck exercises I do really makes a big difference. Now, it would bring the dizziness on when I first started them, especially the looking up and down, but even going side to side would bring the dizziness on. So I had to train it out, and keep doing it, and of course you do this kind of thing sitting down, so you're not going to fall down. You hold on to something. We're not idiots. We just have MS. So, looking over my shoulders, looking up and down, both of those were to train this dizziness out that I got from moving my head. And it's worked really well. So there was that. And there's just, there's so many kinds of different triggers. And when I'm tired, everything, everything is triggered easier. So that's what we mean when we say pay attention to your body. That is what they mean. You're paying attention to what you did just prior to whatever event you had. You're paying attention to how you feel when you've eaten this or that. Did it make me feel better? Did it make me feel worse? And you kind of keep a food journal for a little while. And that'll help you, get your diet right for you. And then there is, just so many things you can do for your cognitive skills to try and train those. And I am still working on them. And my daughter came down for a visit, her and her family. They all came down. I was so excited to see them. It was a surprise, or basically a surprise. It was last minute. And I had wanted to go up there for my grandson's 5th birthday, but was unable because I was sick. So my daughter surprised us, and she brought him down. She brought the whole family down to visit. And while they were here, I found out that, building with Legos and trying to follow the directions is amazingly difficult for me to do. First, trying to figure out, is this the same piece as what's in the picture? And then just trying to follow this simple picture diagram step by step without missing one. And so I think I'm going to get me some Legos to play with. Well, actually, I've got a bunch. But I think I'm going to try and follow the directions on the Legos and see if that can help me with my cognitive skills as well. And then today, so I have not actually used it yet, I found something called Woebot. Woebot, and you can find it at whatever app store you use. I think it's called the App Store on the iPhone and Google Play or something like that on Android. But it's a phone app, and it is a cognitive behavioral therapy assistant. And I read the reviews and they sound great, so I'm going to try that as well. Oh my gosh, and my time is passed up, so I got to go. Love you guys. Until next time, remember, smile big, smile often, laugh a lot, and most importantly, love yourself, your whole entire self, including the wackiness of your MS. So thanks again for listening. Without y'all, I wouldn't be here. Bye.